let's talk about a subject that kind of has been on my mind, and I've been actively doing this, is should I expand my business? Should I grow it? Okay, now I don't want to say grow because there's different ways to grow. You can grow in numbers, you can grow in locations, you can grow in, money-wise and whatever. I'm talking about expansion. Okay, and so one of the things that I have done, and I'll give you a little bit of history here, and I'm sorry guys, my nose is for some reason is itching tonight. But one of the things that how I started, literally the day I made up my mind to go full-time into the handyman business, and I own a pretty nice sized business here in Atlanta, Georgia, and I got flyers together and literally parked in a neighborhood and went knocking doors. And I had promised out work, and I was hired immediately. I was gainfully employed my very first day going out. Now that's old school, and you know what, guys? Going old school, there's nothing wrong with that. Matter of fact, I was on the phone today with a young fella that is in the home service pro industry. He's working for a very large franchise, and we were just talking, and he was talking about, man, I need to make some extra money, and I don't know how to do that. I was like, oh man, just, tell me about that. I'll tell you, I'll talk your ear off about it. And so that was kind of the impetus for today, was to make me go ahead, and I'm sorry, I got to turn off all my electronics too as well, don't we? Okay, so that was one of the things that I was talking about today, literally, to this young man about, hey, what I want you to do is get some flyers together, go out this weekend, or even every day after work, you get off at 5, the sun doesn't set till 8:30, go out and knock doors. Hey, this is who I am, this is what I do. While I'm here, what would you like for me to look at? This guy's very, very capable. He's a young man, about 23, and so that's what I was going after, is like, okay, so I was just like him. Matter of fact, he's in the same town that I started my handyman business in. So anyway, so I had promised out work for 6 months. Literally, I knew where I was every single day of work. I knew exactly where I was going to go every single day for 6 months, in time, 6 months in the future. Now, some of you guys are saying like, whoa, how did you do that? Well, I will tell you how I did that even more as we go along, okay? So, but for now, I'm going to just try my best to stay on track, all right? Watch me. So, the idea here is, but, at somewhere in the middle of that, towards the end of it, I guess it was, about the 4th or 5th month, I got to thinking, you know what? I get up as early as I can. I work as long as I can. I work as many days as I can. And I try to make as much money as I can. But at the end of the day, guess what? That's all I can do. Think about that. That's all I could do. And that's what we call in business, that's called the income cap. Okay? That's the ceiling. That's as high as you can go. All right? So, how was I going to overcome a couple of things? Now, the first question I came up with is, what am I going to do if I'm up on a ladder cleaning gutters or doing roofing or whatever I'm at on a ladder and I fall off accidentally and I break my leg or my arm? Think about this. Well, you got insurance. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Let's don't even chase that rabbit for right now. But I thought, you know what? If I get hurt, then my income is going to drastically decrease. And all those people that are waiting on me, they're going to get upset and they're going to get somebody else. I'm going to lose business. I'm going to lose situation. So what I personally decided to do was, I thought to myself, well, the only way to make more income, because I'm capped out. I'm maxed out. I can't physically do any more. And plus I'm at a disadvantage. If I get hurt, my income stops. All right. So this is what I did. I thought to myself, you know what? I've got to duplicate myself. Get some more people working for me, or get some people working for me that can do the same thing and max them out. In other words, bump up their schedule to the full, even for 6 months, like I did myself, okay? And do this exponentially. So let's say that I'm making, I don't know, $500 a day. And I hire somebody, one person, all right? And I pay them $250. I give them 50%, all right? And that's very generous. I pay them 50%, so $250. And I continue working, all right? So I'm making literally $750 a day. Now, however, if I want to do one thing, guys, and here's a basic principle on answering should you expand, is here's a basic rule. If you're working in your business, if you're out slinging a hammer or doing whatever you do in construction or in home repair, then you cannot be working on your business. So if you're working in your business, you can't be working on your business. All right? Because if you want to expand your business, the first principle of business is that you've got to replace yourself. Okay? So, long story, but I went and found I didn't know how to run a handyman company. I had no idea. I was kind of a novice at myself. I just knew that I had some skills. I knew people wanted me to come work for them and do stuff they couldn't or wouldn't do. All right, because there are people out there that they have the tools, they have the time, the talent, but they just don't have the motivation. Matter of fact, it was my first client, and I'll tell you about that some other time. Okay? So, but the idea here is, how can I start working on my business? Okay? Because, guys, let's face this. It's tough. For me, for getting out and slinging a hammer all day long, 8 to 10 hours, sometimes in the summertime, 12-hour days. I've put in 14-hour days or more because I was working, remodeling a house. I had an investor, buy a house and say, I'll give you 30 days to do this list, and I'll give you a bonus at the end of it if you do it. Yes. So I'm going to put all the time I can into that job. Okay? So, and at the end of the day, you don't feel like coming in and doing marketing and SEO work and phone calls and bookkeeping and all the crazy stuff that goes on in a regular business. You don't, and you won't. Something has to give. There's a basic principle. It's called whatever you focus on grows. Okay? Think about this. Whatever you focus on, whatever you put your attention on, it grows. It expands. It flourishes. Okay? Now, here's what I had to do. So I went and found the #1 handyman company in the United States. Forbes magazine, 5 years in a row, said that this company, this franchise, was #1. So I hauled off cold turkey. Now, I don't recommend doing this, but I had enough confidence in myself and belief in myself, and I had motivation and I had purpose. Okay? You don't want to try or even start doing any business or any expansion of your business like we're talking about tonight without purpose. That's one of the very first things you've got to do. And that's what I did. I remember I was standing in a bedroom in my house when I had this thought of like, oh my gosh, I can't make any more money, and this is the best it's ever going to get, And back then I was a young man, but still I was thinking, I've got all these responsibilities. Something happens to me, I'm done. Okay, so let's move forward. So I went and worked for this company. I moved there in Colorado Springs, Colorado. I moved there from Atlanta, cold turkey. All right. I went there that day, interviewed, got on board with them, and in 6 months, because again, guys, I had purpose. I was focused like a laser beam. Okay. It wasn't shotgun. It wasn't let's just throw it up against the wall and see what happens. No, I had purpose. All right. So with that, in 6 months, I became their lead handyman in the company. Now, I sat after work, after I would go do a job for them and come in, bring their paperwork in, I would sit there and befriend all the office people and plus the manager and the owner of that franchise. Okay. I brought them coffee. I brought them donuts, pizza, whatever. I was the guy. All right. And I did this on purpose because one thing, and I'll just tell you about this, but one thing people like to do, they like to eat. And when they're eating with you, like you have, why do you have like business lunches and stuff like this? Okay. Because when you do have a business lunch with someone, they walk away full and they feel good. All right. And they associate whatever you talked about with that as well. Okay. Little salesman 101 there. All right. So I would buy them some, pizzas or bring them coffee and donuts or whatever like this. And I would sit there and socialize with them either before or after work. And I would ask them questions about the business. Well, I see that y'all are doing this, and I've done some research on the company, and how are we doing this? I included because I was working for them. How are we doing this, and how are we doing that? So I learned the behind the scenes, if you will, about that business, and I learned how to, because I became their lead handyman by following their successful systems. Okay, all of your successful companies, you name it, Burger King, McDonald's, Coke, Home Depot, anybody like this, the one common thing they have about them is successful systems. All right, so somebody gets ticked off and they quit, or does the company shut down because of that one person? No, they just plug somebody else into their successful training and plug them into the successful systems. So I learned that right away. And then I moved back to Atlanta, and I came back to Atlanta and I worked for the same franchise. Okay. But the people in Colorado Springs, when I told them my plan, they all laughed and said, the owner asked so-and-so why he's not ever going to be number one. I thought, well, I'm not going to ask him that, but I'm going to find out personally. So literally I moved back to Atlanta and I worked for that same franchise, but a different owner, franchise E, if you will. And I became their lead handyman again because I've already learned how to run a good one. Okay, I understood the system. And I would get in there and do the same thing. And I found out a lot of ways that this man, this franchisee, was never, ever going to be number one, even on the Forbes. Okay, he'll never be this way because there were some bad habits, some bad practices, and some things he did do, and some things he did not do. Okay, and it was just poorly run, poorly managed business. So I don't even think this company's in existence anymore here in Atlanta. Okay. Anyway, so the big question is, should I expand? Now that's the question you should ask yourself. Guys, if you are happy about working full-time or part-time and that's what you want to do, the thing is, I got to ask you, are you saving money? Because first off, you're either an independent subcontractor, like you're working for the general contractors, things like this, or you're a general contractor yourself, or you're a home service pro. You may be an employee. Okay, so the question is, what are you doing about your retirement? Okay, are you really socking it away? Okay, if you're not, then get with the program. Get with the program and start doing that. And one of the ways that you can create this extra money that you don't have right now is literally by going and expanding your business, exponentiate, double, duplicate. I don't know the other words, but grow your business by duplicating yourself. Okay. And see, I've got guys working for me out in the field, and that's what I do. I occasionally will go out and sling a hammer, but I work on other businesses and other things. And my primary focus is helping other contractors to be successful in whatever capacity that I can. So that's my focus right now. That's all I do, is I constantly work on my own business, on it. Occasionally in it, I'll take a day or two every once in a while and go do some work that I want to do. And I do videos, and those are videos, that jobs that I've selected that I thought, well, I need to do a video on this. I have people asking me to show them how to do this or whatever like that. So I will go out and do it and then put it up. Otherwise, my guys are out in the field doing that work, okay? Now, let's get back to this one thing. If you're, in that hypothetical again, if you're making $500 a day, all right, and you want to step out from working in your business to working on your business, then what you have to do with the little simple math that I did, hire 2 people, okay? And still charge your $500 a day per person. And hypothetically, you may want to have employees. I don't. I do subcontractors, and I pay them well. So I give them 50% of the income, or the amount that I charge per job, per hour, however I quote that, okay? And so they're out working for me in the business where I can stay and work on the business, okay? Now, you may say to me, Rick, that's great, but I need to know some more particulars. Well, I'm going to get to that in just a second, okay? Now, let's look at another screen, and how do you make that decision to expand your business? Because, guys, there are some pros and cons, and I want to get to this screen right here. Now, what we do here is, and this is a thing that I did that day I made the decision to move to Colorado Springs. And the day that was subsequent, but the day I decided that I had to duplicate myself. So the Benjamin Franklin principle for making decisions is literally, and I didn't have a way of doing this in the slide, but you draw a line down the middle of the page. On one side you put pros, and the other side you put cons, okay? So go down the pro side. So we talked a little bit about this. Number one, you have, I want to say, job security, okay? Number two, you have income security, okay? Because you have other people working for you, okay? And that's a basic concept of wealth building. It's called OPM, other people's money, or other people's resources, or other people's skills, or other people's, and you get the idea, okay? So you're building your wealth upon the concept of using other people's abilities, okay? Don't use them, but utilize them, okay? Now, and you think about this, every grocery store, you don't have the owner of the grocery store out stocking and at cashiering, because he can't do that. And neither can you. You cannot expand your business and grow your business the way that you want to if you're trying to do it all. You can't. You've got to have, you have to, what's the word? It's not diversify. I'll think of it in a second. But diversify, yeah. But you have to designate. Yeah, you have to designate some of that to other people. Hire an office manager. Hire a bookkeeper. And you don't have to, and let me tell you this too, and I'll come back to that in just a second. So those are all the pros on this side, okay? So you list all those pros down. Now the con side, and here I was thinking about this just previously. I started as an expanded business where I didn't go out into the field anymore, but I was working on the business instead of rather in it. So I hired 4 guys. I controlled everything except, the only thing I controlled was the amount of money. Okay, we have a system, and I won't go into that too much, but I controlled how much money I thought we could win the job for. Okay? And I paid them an hourly wage at that time. So, but I was working out of my basement in my home. Okay? And I had 4 guys. So I thought, I want to grow this thing bigger than just 4 guys, because these 4 guys would like come to my house and they would bring me the check or whatever, and I would deposit it and I would write them a check and they would bring me paperwork. So I had a lot of traffic in and out of my house. I don't recommend that. And matter of fact, in some counties or parishes where you are, they don't allow that at all. They don't want a lot of traffic in the residential areas. And so what I did, though, I hired a slew of guys, about 30 guys. But I wasn't going to have them come to my house. I went and raised funding for a office space in a strip mall, if you will, like a plaza, where there are a bunch of businesses around. And I picked the very best, most high traffic intersection. I mean, it was the #1 in the state. And so it got a lot of attention, and people would stop at that light for like 25, more than half a minute. Okay. So anyway, but the con to that was to grow my business that way. I had to have an office building, had a lot of overhead, office building, office manager, personnel to answer phones, managers out in the field, supervisors over that, and I just managed the supervisors. So we had a pretty big operation going on back in the day, okay? Now, I do everything differently now. Literally, everything I do is, let me see it right here, this, and the computer. Literally, everything I do right now is virtual, and I run a pretty good sized company. Virtual. And we'll talk more about that some other time, okay? I promise you, okay? But let's stay with this. Then what you do with the pros and cons, the cons was also, I had a lot of overhead. Had to buy, more expensive liability insurance, workers' compensation for the guys. I had to go out and do some of the work some of the time because my liability required that I did at least 30% of that work. So that kept me busy as well, okay? So what you do on this Benjamin Franklin principle here is you outweigh and you see which side wins. Guys, if you don't want to step up, that's okay. Yeah, I get it. Some of you guys are just like happy with, this is the amount of money I want to make. I'll do some extra work. I'll do some work on the side, things like this. Awesome. God bless you. And, that's all that. If there are of you that I'm looking at right now in the eyeballs and you want to expand your business, I can help you do that. I can show you exactly how I've grown my business from me out knocking doors to where it is today. Literally, I don't even hardly ever leave my house. Now I've got a home office. I run everything virtually. If guys want to see me, they want to talk to me, we do Skype or we talk on the phone. Okay? I've got guys all over Atlanta right now working for me. And so that's the thing right there. I have a different life than I did when I had the big brick and mortar, and I have a different life that when I did out knocking doors. Okay? It's better. Let's just say it that way. It's a lot better. So if you want to step up and if you want to expand and if you want to give yourself a little bit more security, because you know what? You're in the same situation that I was back in the day, was if something happens to me, then doggone, then I'm in trouble. Let's change screens here real quick. So that's what I'm talking about here. And so the only person really that can answer that question for you is you. And I got to thinking about this, right now, because I run my business virtually, I remember the first day I made that decision. I hired a virtual assistant. I hired answering service that answered all my phone calls and texted me whatever I wanted to. I hardly ever, guys, I hardly ever answer this phone. And my guys text me. They know because all my calls are caught by my answering service. I have a different life. So in the middle of the day, if I want to go to the movies, if I want to take a week off and go on vacation, go to the beach, I still can do everything right here. Everything that I want to do. On the beach, on the fishing pier, camping. I've even done jobs and gave quotes, camping out in the wilderness. It was fortunate that I got phone reception, but that's what I did. You know, it's a different life. And so am I painting a good picture? I hope I am, because it's pretty good. However, again, there are some cons to it. Okay? All right. Right now, I'm thinking about, why don't I just hire someone to run my business? Let me step out away from the business. I'll manage the supervisor. I'll manage the manager, if you will. I'm thinking about that too as well. And that's probably another step. The other step is I'm thinking about another handyman business. Something completely different, completely new concept. Okay? And I can do that because I'm working on the business and not in it. Again, you will never get to where I am, okay, or where you want to be. More importantly, it doesn't matter if you get to where I'm at. What matters is where you want to be. You'll never get there if you're working in the business. If you're out doing whatever you do for a living, you won't get there. I'm telling you, because there's too many obstacles, and I know that human nature, after living this long, I started to say how old I am. I'm pretty old. I don't look it, but folks always say, you want to tell them how old. It's like, no, you're not. I say, yes, I am. I am that old. Well, so, but if I can encourage it. All right. Now, the cool thing is, again, if you want to get to where you want to be, I started to say I am, but where you want to be, you've got to step away. You've got to duplicate your income, replace your income, replace it. Okay? If you're making $500 a day, figure out how you can step away from business and work on replacing your income. Okay? And this is one of the ways. Now, I've developed a system. This is my systems, the Handyman Business Systems Toolbox. And it is a program that you can purchase, and I will teach you exactly how I do my own business from the very, very start, from start to finish. And I'm working with some screens here. So first off, I'm going to show you how to effectively market your business. Some of you, and I talk to my own handyman day in and day out, and I hire and fire guys left and right because they don't step up and meet my expectations as a employer. But you know, I've talked to fellas before, and they'll say, "Oh," I say, "Hey, what are you doing?" "Oh, I'm sitting here on the sofa watching the movie." "Really? That's awesome. How much is that paying?" You know, well, you know, they're doing it because they don't have any work. They don't have any work. And so they don't know how to effectively market their business. Now, guys, I've got this down to a science so much, literally. And I want you to, I'm going to switch back to this other screen here real quick. Because, wow. Let me see if I can get it. Here you are. Okay. I want you to see my eyeballs when I say this. My market in this system is so effective, and I've honed this down. I've focused on it, okay? And I've done this with purpose. For over, well, let's just say since 1998, I've been working on it and perfecting it. I still do. Almost every day, I perfect and perfect and perfect. I turn down work every single day. I'll just be quiet for a second and let that sink in. Do you have that problem? Are you turning down work every single day because you can't get to it? Okay? If not, you've got to get this book. All right? You've got to get in this training, how to effectively market your business. Now, I'm going to transition back to this right here. So we talk about that in the system. All right? The other is literally, and I told you how I mentioned this, how I run my business. It's a virtual business office. How to set up and operate this. And I'll teach you exactly how to do this, where you don't have to have a brick and mortar. You don't have to have, pay the high overhead of utilities, insurance, and rent or taxes and all that craziness that goes on back in the old days. You don't have to have that business because, if you're in the handyman business, there's no reason, or even contractor or whatever you do, home services, there's no reason for anybody to come to your office, really. There's no reason to that, okay? And I'll show you how to do that, how to automate everything that you need to do. The other is how to recruit and interview and hire your team. So if you want to have just one more person, that's cool. You'll learn how to recruit, interview, and hire that person. And I put people on my A team, okay? And a lot of times, I won't hire somebody because of a phone interview. I won't hire someone because they're not experienced enough. I won't hire someone because the 3 simple questions that I ask every reference, if that person that I ask these questions to, if they say, like that, I know that's something there that they're hiding and they're not going to be truthful about. So I won't hire that person. I'll even ask them I'll even ask them that problem. So-and-so asked you, I asked a question, they hem and hawed. What's up about that? The other is, let's move on. The other is how to train your team for success, okay? I had a big talk today with a new guy that I hired, and he was not following my program. And I teach my own program on training and things like this, which you will get in this training series. Everything that I do, back in the day when I was talking about this big company, I would take an entire day, 8 hours, to train 20 or 30 guys all at once. I would hire the masses for this company I was running in North Georgia. And literally about every 6 months, I would just, through attrition, they wouldn't follow through. They didn't do this. They wanted to do things their way. And the reason they came to me because they weren't successful. They were hungry, but they had it, they didn't learn the lesson with me, so they needed to learn the lesson from somebody else. Or maybe, sadly to say, maybe they never learned the lesson they needed to learn in order to be successful. They weren't hungry enough. So, I would train these guys in my orientation. I would take 8 hours because I taught them everything verbatim that I learned from the successful company I worked for. I learned everything and parroted back that in my own way and modified it of the do's and don'ts. And I was exhausted. So now what I do is I make my own training videos, put them online, and that way they're self-paced. So when I hire someone, I do the interview, I do all that stuff, and then I can monitor their progress. And I will know when they are finished and when they get through the end of it, because at the end of the videos, I tell them in the videos, this is what I want you to do. Stop the video right now. Do this, do that, do this, do this. And then that way they text me and they know everything, guys, I have is systemized. And it's a completely different life I have now than I had then. So much freedom. That was the word I was looking for. So much personal freedom. Personal freedom. Okay? Sound kind of cool? I wish somebody would have told me this back in 1998. That I had access to a program that I could purchase like I'm offering you right now. And well, I'm not even going to talk about price because it doesn't matter what the price is. What it is, what makes the decision, what really does matter is that you make a decision to expand your business. Whether it's one person or 20 or 40 or 100. How big do you want to get? And I provide all the consultation, the hours, the phone calls, the webinars, private Facebook groups, the whole big deal. So, in closing, if you are interested in this, I want you to write the comment down below. Just say, yes, I'm interested in learning more. And I read all of my comments, and I comment back, and I will get back with you. And we'll do swap private messages or whatever like this. We'll get on Facebook, and we'll private message each other. So if you're interested in learning how to do this, and you make a decision today, right now, that you want to learn more, at least talk about how you can expand your business, I'm here to help you, and I want to help you. Money does not make any difference to me. This is not about money-making situation. That's not it at all. I'm here to help you, and if I can help you, then I feel, at the end of the day, I feel like a very blessed man that I can help just one person. If that one person's you, I want you to comment below. Make sure, guys, at the end of tonight, after you've seen this video, you've seen it all the way through. And by the way, thank you. Thanks for staying with me this long. I know I rant and rave a little bit, but I'm passionate. I'm passionate about what I do. Are you passionate about what you do? If you are, you want to expand your business, let me know. Please like, share, subscribe to this channel. I want to get to know you on a social and a personal level, and get to know your heart, what's on your mind. How can I make you more successful? I ask that a lot. Even my pastor at church, first time I met him, I shook his hand, looked him right in the eye, and I said, sir, I'm here to serve the community. And how can I make you, as a pastor, more successful? And that's what I had to do today. Literally, I got on the phone with one of the men I just hired. He wasn't following the instructions in the training. We had talked about this 2 times earlier. And so I had a little come to Jesus meeting with him. And I said, look, I'm going to talk to you really straight. It's going to be hard, but we have to have a hard conversation today. Okay? Because you're not stepping up. And I need you to step up because I want you to be successful. Because when you are successful, then I'm successful. And so is the client. They get what they want done successfully. So I just had a little talk with him. And he got it. He understood. And it was firm. We left, we hung up in a good attitude, with a good attitude. Both of us did. But I just told him, I'm here to work for you to make you more successful at what you do. So if you will, help me help you. Okay? So I'm going to say the same thing to you guys. Help me help you. How can I help you to be more successful? Whether you want more freedom, time, more money, all of us do. Just more of something else. Just even to get your name of your company out. You want the fame? You want people ringing your phone ringing off the hook, so to speak? Cool. Well, I can help you do that as well. Okay?